Hello and welcome back to another episode of the NXT Podcast. I'm your host, Skelly Bones, here on the No Holds Barred Network, bringing you all the news, reviews, and more when it comes to NXT live on the USA Network every Wednesday. I'm going to be with you every Friday, bringing you all the reviews and previews and more on Tuesday. So let's go ahead and get into the October 16th episode of NXT. We open with the return of Tommaso Ciampa as he faces Angel Garza in the first match. This was basically a glorified squash match. Both guys were working really fast. Ciampa didn't really overexert himself, I guess. He really didn't take any bumps, which was, good to see. But he moved around good. He looked really good. Garza started off with some offense. Ciampa beat up Garza for a bit after he got his pants off, and then hit a running knee to his pants. So that was interesting. And then he hit a draping DDT for the win. So you had Ciampa getting the 1-2-3. Pretty quick opener. This match didn't go too long. Personally, I really didn't think this match is how I would have liked to seen Tommaso return to the ring. I know that you want to bring your big names back to, get these ratings going. And I guess, Tommaso is a Triple H guy and he wants to help out the show and be a, superstar. So he wants to get back in the ring. But I think if you could have held off and, pushed Ciampa Cole or even a three-way main event with him and Finn or something like that as his first match back, would have been so much bigger and made things more special. And I don't know if anybody else really cares about this as much as I do, but I feel like his return to the ring should have been really important, and this kind of felt like a throwaway match that he actually kind of did some weird comedy spots that one weird comedy spot where he was beating up the pants that I felt was sort of out of character. I mean, it got over to the crowd and it was funny, but it's just not what I was expecting. The Undisputed Era enter after the match and circled the ring while Ciampa's in there with his chair and crutch again, getting ready. They don't go anywhere, but Kyle O'Reilly gives Mauro a USB, and then we go to commercial. We find out that the USB was a video of the Undisputed Era basically murdering, or the aftermath of them murdering Velveteen Dream, and his they were just kind of gloating over his dead body. So basically, Dream is injured. I don't know what, but I'm assuming something major, or he's gonna have some type of surgery, because it seems like they're gonna write him out for a while, because this was a pretty big angle. This kind of sucks because I like the Dream. I was kind of worried about what they've been doing with him lately with his creepy sexual promos, but I'll wait to see until I find out more with what his actual injury is and if he has a time frame for return, or if this is all just possibly storyline even, which would be for the best. But if it's not, I'll keep you guys updated, and if I find out by Tuesday, it'll be on the next preview episode. For match number 2, we had Imperium versus Birch and Lorcan. I think Danny Birch and Oni Lorcan are a great tag team. They're super underrated. And Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel are actually really good too. Both those guys move really good in the ring. Eichner is really agile for a guy that's like built so big and stocky as he is. He's almost like a shortly shorter Brian Cage, I guess. He's like super jacked, but he's not that tall. But his like springboard moonsault is really sweet. I like Eichner. I like all these guys, actually. You had 4 guys that are really good, and they had a good match. And that's all I want to see. I'm a simple man. I like simple things. You give me good wrestlers wrestling, and that's what I like. You had a pretty hot crowd. The crowd was into Birch and Lorcan pretty strong. And then we ended up with the spinebuster penalty kick into European uppercut powerbomb combo onto Lorcan, and Imperium got the pin. It was a good match, a really good match. Really, probably the best tag team match I've seen on NXT in a while. Even better than I think any of the Street Profits matches they had. After this, we got a Gargano hype vid. It showed a lot of DIY stuff, so I feel like they're really teasing the Gargano Ciampa eventual face-to-face. So maybe that's what they feel is the bigger reveal than just Ciampa coming back. I think maybe they're building up to the Ciampa Gargano face-to-face. Or we might just see it next week because they're going to rush everything and nobody gives a shit. Gargano had an interview with Kathy backstage, saying he won't know how he feels about Ciampa until he sees him face to face. Basically, just continuing what I just said. That storyline will continue. And match number 3, we got Io Shirai versus Kayden Carter. Kayden, I feel like has some potential. I haven't heard her cut a promo yet. But from her work in the ring, she was really smooth. There was a good series of counters early. There was a couple brief moments where this looked like the timing got off a bit. But it didn't go too long, and this was a good match. Io wins with her low-angle moonsault. I call it a snap moonsault just because it's really quick. Like, her legs come around so fast. Like, it actually looks like it does hurt, and I think if that catches you bad, like, that could leave a mark. After the match, Io cut a promo calling out Baszler. Rhea Ripley interrupts her, basically saying she's going to kill Bianca next week, and she'll kill Io now also if she doesn't shut up. So Io backs off and leaves. We cut to Kathy Kelly and Regal, where he announces that the winner of Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic will face Roderick Strong for the North American title next week. And then we have Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. The 4th match of the night and the 4th match of this feud. 1-1-1. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 tie. The rubber match. So this has pretty much been every Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic match that we've seen thus far. It's good. The crowd's into it. There was a really sweet triple clutch suplex spot that Lee had where he was hoisting up Dijakovic, but he couldn't get him, and then he, tried to hoist him up again and couldn't get him, and then on the 3rd time, finally got him over, and the crowd went nuts. That was a good spot. Lee also hit a reverse Rana onto Dijakovic, and now apparently every reverse Rana is now a poison Rana in NXT. I guess it's not just a Candice LeRae Gargano thing, so poison Ranas for everyone. And then this match ended with Roderick Strong interfering because he's a fucking idiot, because you have William Regal, who every time something like this, and not just Regal, but wrestling forever, anytime the heel does this where they run in and mess up a number 1 contenders match, what happens? It turns into a triple threat. So I don't know what he was expecting here. So of course, we have Regal standing in the balcony like the Phantom of the goddamn Opera, and calls out to Strong that, in fact, next week it will be a triple threat between Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and Roderick Strong for the North American title. So that should be a really awesome match. I will like that. I'm very excited to see that match, and I think that'll really bring some life to this feud, and we might see a title change. We might see some weird Undisputed Era shenanigans also, because it's going to be a triple threat and no DQ, so probably expect that also. So maybe not so much a title change, but definitely a good match I think will be had beforehand, before any of the shenanigans go on. But we'll see what happens. Next week, thanks Regal. We come back from commercial, we see the Undisputed Era arguing as Regal leaves. I'm going to see if I can get the clip of Bobby Fish, but God, there's a hilarious, like, it's just a 2-second line, but he sounds like such a baby. It's like they're all just whining at Regal as he's leaving, and Bobby Fish just goes, it just made me crack up because it's perfect for those guys. They're such great heels. I love the Undisputed Era. Match 5, we have Matt Riddle versus Bronson Reed. This was a nice little showcase for Reed. I said he got a little bit of offense in, and he looked good. Riddle took most of the match, hit him with some nasty suplexes and a lot of knees. Reed got some, like I said, some decent offense in, and got the fist bump at the end. Respect for everybody. Not a bad match. Nothing overly great. Like I said, it wasn't, the crowd was into it. I don't think they really know enough about Reed yet to, like, really be into him, but he showed enough in this match to, I think the next time he comes on, we see him on NXT, it's going to be a good time. After this match, we get a Bianca Belair video promo calling out Rhea Ripley. Their match is going to be next week, which will be for the number 1 contendership, or basically whoever's going to fight Shayna next. Match number 6, we get the return of Tegan Nox versus Tainara. Tainara is still very green. She did the world's slowest back roll into a bicycle kick I've ever seen in my life. I get to learn that Tegan Nox is a Kane mark, apparently. And when she got to hit her choke slam, Beth was able to dispel that little nugget of wisdom upon me. Tegan hit her Shining Wizard for the finish. This match went way too long for me. It should have just been a squash. I really don't think Tainara is strong enough as a wrestler to even help enhance somebody like Tegan. She basically should just be squashed and made Tegan look super strong. After the match, Tegan is there with Kathy Kelly, asking her how it feels to, win in her return. And then Dakota Kai comes out. And then before the girl gets to even utter one word besides a deep breath out, Shayna Baszler and company come out and interrupt. And then Shayna cuts kind of an awkward promo, in my opinion. It was weird because it's like, you have Rhea Ripley coming after you, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair. And it's like, oh, let me just interrupt this random chick for no reason. Like, okay, well, I guess we got a new storyline between Tegan Nox and Shayna Baszler now. So, okay. This just, to me, shows that I think they have big plans for Tegan. I guess they're high on her. We'll see what happens in the future. If she gets to talk, maybe that would be nice. She looked fine in the ring, but we'll see what happens. I wasn't a real big fan of this weird promo part afterwards with Baszler interrupting. It just made her look weird. I didn't like it. Whatever. All right, what happened next? Then we got the big message from Finn, which was actually just a pre-taped video promo, basically saying that what he already said, that he's going to be in NXT and he's coming back next week. So I'm assuming he'll be in a match next week. And that was it. It was all right. I didn't feel much about it. Then we have match number 7, Boa versus Killian Dane. Boa, of course, got murdered last week. Got murdered last week by Killian Dane during his Cameron Grimes match after he got double stomped by Grimes. Boa started quick. He got some offense, and then got killed by a crossbody on the outside. Then he rolled to the inside. Dane hits a white noise to a senton, then 3 Vader bombs, and then a half Nelson submission hold that he locks in for the win. And we get Killian Dane winning by submission. This match was fine. I guess I just don't feel much about Killian Dane to me feels like the Albert of this generation. He's very good. He's got an extremely hairy back. Maybe they'll make him shave. They haven't put him on a t-shirt already. We'll see what happens. It's like they're trying to cover him up more. The man's just hairy. You can't help it. Maybe that's why he's getting pushed so hard. Lord Tensai just loves this guy. And finally, we have our main event: Damien Priest versus Pete Dunn. Pete Dunn makes his entrance, and before he comes down the ramp, Killian Dane interrupts him and gets in his face and points a finger at him. And Dunn grabs his finger and breaks it. And then a bunch of refs come out and start holding Dane back, and Dunn just shrugs and walks away because he's an asshole, and that's why everyone loves him. Then we had Damien Priest enter, and I'm actually just not a real big fan of, like, the gimmicky entrances, like there's a light, now you're shining. Like, it's one thing if you're, like, Nakamura or, even, like, Demon Finn is kind of a rarity. It's not an everyday thing. But, like, something like Nakamura where, he has so much charisma that his entrances are really cool because that's just how it is. Like, I hate the spotlight, and then he shoots the arrow, and it plays this shitty music that still kind of sucks. I don't know. I'm not very much sold on Priest as much as I think some others are. This match was just blah to me. I don't know. I didn't much care for it. The crowd loves Dunn. They didn't really give a shit about Priest. That is until the end where he kicked him in the balls and then gave him his finish and pinned Dunn for the win, and then he got all the boos and everything, and it was just, I don't know. It was another match where the commercials really killed it for me too, because it's like, this is your main event and you're cutting through 30% of the match, if not more, with the commercial break, and I hate that. And I hate that freaking picture-in-picture that they do. It's killing me. So kind of a bummer to the finish of this NXT for me. Overall, kind of a weak episode. Match quality was fine, nothing spectacular, nothing too bad, but there's nothing that really stood out to me. I think your match of the night is basically the tag match, the Lorcan, Danny Birch, and Imperium match. Other than that, some storylines were moved. Tommaso made his in-ring return. He looked okay. Other than that, not much that I was overly excited about. But still, not a bad NXT. And with that bit of a low light, let's get into my favorite segment of the night, the Wednesday Night Wars. I'm going to get music for that soon, don't worry. So ratings, everybody's favorite thing, ratings. So going through the ratings, starting from week 1, let's go back to the beginning. when NXT and AEW went head-to-head in week 1, NXT had 891,000 viewers. AEW had 1.4 million viewers. Week 2, you had 790,000 viewers for NXT and 1.14 million for AEW. And in this week, we have 712,000 for NXT and 1.014 million for AEW. So both shows trending downward, actually, which is not necessarily a very good sign. But again, we did have baseball, I think, both the last 2 weeks. This game got postponed this Wednesday, so maybe not this week. But still, trending downwards, not good. Also, NXT started before it was going head-to-head with, I believe, a 1.1 or 1.4. So they're going way down from where they originally started, so that's not good. At least if they hold steady at about, I don't know, 1 million, that would look a little bit better, like they're competing a bit more, but AEW is definitely pulling away with it thus far. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, if NXT can turn it around or if AEW is just going to keep running away with it in the ratings scene. And really, I have been watching, and the matches have been good too. And I won't say that AEW has been putting on a better wrestling show, because I still think NXT is the superior wrestling. I think a lot of these characters in AEW aren't quite fleshed out enough yet, and still need to be introduced properly. And also, some of these workers are a little more green, and not that they're bad, but it's a bit more work to polish up, we'll say. But both shows are good, and we're in a great period for wrestling right now, so everybody's got to be happy. That's the main thing we always got to take away from this is, we're getting 4 quality hours of wrestling every week. I mean, and that's just on Wednesday, not every, from these 2 shows every week. There's a lot more good wrestling out there. Shout outs to NWA Power and also AEW Dark on Tuesdays on YouTube. Those are both, that's my new Tuesday ritual. Those things are amazing. I love those shows. So you're getting some quality wrestling every Wednesday. I'm digging it. Ratings are ratings. We'll see what happens. As long as they don't start going, hitting the freaking panic switch with NXT and doing some crazy shit, I'll be happy. So that about wraps it up for this episode of the NXT Podcast. Make sure to join me next Tuesday when I have a preview of the next episode of NXT. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TheNXT Podcast. Also follow the No Holds Barred Network at NHB Network. Make sure you follow our brother podcast, the All Elite Podcast, at All Elite Pod. Make sure you follow me, your host, Skelly Bones, at Bones_Skelly on Twitter. And again, thanks for joining us, and I will see you on Tuesday.